My name is Alana Gomez, and I'm here with Dr. Canton. And it is March 3rd, 3:27 p.m. And Dr. Canton, if you just want to give yourself an introduction.
How you doing? Dr. David Canton. I give permission to record my statements.
Okay, great. And you are the director of the African-American Studies program.
Correct.
Okay. So my first question is, when is the first time you've heard about Black Thursday? Was it at UF? Was it before you came here? Because this is your first year, correct?
Obviously, once I arrived on campus, you know what? Let me hold that back. I think when I was interviewing for the job, I was doing some research and I saw 71. I already thought of 50s and 21. So I'm the generation where the gold anniversaries of civil rights stuff, whether it's Brown, 2004, all those significant milestones I have experienced is golden anniversaries. I think that's when I first heard of it. Then obviously coming down here, you hear more of it. I've seen some events. So I know it's part of the larger Black campus movement of the late 60s, early 70s. So that's when I first was introduced to Black Thursday.
But it wasn't something you necessarily told you about or you saw here somewhere.
No, it's doing research on the African-American Studies page. You'll read about it.
Okay. And does the African-American Studies program have courses that teach about Black Thursday?
Well, obviously, right. So if you taught a course in the civil rights or Black power, which courses that I do, right? So obviously you want that national and local. And thanks to the work of Dr. Paul Ortiz and all his colleagues, there's definitely a push to do a lot of local history. So incorporating that into the curriculum. So that's why it makes me hard when I have these discussions, because I'm just so new. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Before here, for me, Gainesville was a swamp, the football. I'm just gonna be honest. You know what I mean? You just, is only so much one can know. So, I think obviously with the work, my departed colleague, Dr. Patricia Hilliard-Nunn, Blacks in Florida. So it's definitely making me step my Florida game up, and incorporate more. But that's why we have different entities who are more expert that can give you a deeper dive. But definitely this will be part of a segment of Black Students Takeovers, where I'm not just looking at Cornell, Harvard. I'm also going to incorporate UF to make it localized.
And since we're coming up on the 50-year anniversary this April of Black Thursday, why do you think it's important for other students to attend events centering about that? Why is it important for them to know about Black Thursday?
Well, obviously in this country, some of my colleague Darrell Scott from Howard calls America a history wasteland. America, we just don't like history. We just, or if we do like it, it's romanticized, it's sanitized, it's nostalgia of a past that didn't exist. I said all the time, history is not kind, it's history. It's not a moral play. This is what it is. Human beings are complicated. Dr. King did this, but he also did that. You do this, you do that. But we like to sanitize, put stuff in boxes, keep Malcolm X in a box, then other groups want to reinterpret them to fit whatever, in spite of what the record says. So for me, the commemoration is not just I teach the past, don't live it, but have the university kept this promise to what it's supposed to do in terms of diversity. So commemorations for me is not this, time thing. We jump in the machine. Thank you. We still say, what's his impact today? So that's what we're going to make hopefully our celebration centered in the Black student. So in other words, I think oftentimes you give too much praise to the power structure, but it's really the people at the bottom where the agency. So I think even the monuments, the commemoration might do better. Started in the plaza. That's where they started, the agency, right? Rather than, going in Tigard, it started out there. So it gives a sense of it's not a top down, because 20 years from now, that's what it's going to look like. When we have all these Black professors, and all of a sudden, all these presidents get all this credit, but we know it started bottom up. And if our monuments are at Tigard, the uninitiated will assume that. But if it's out here at the plaza, where you give tours and this and that, it historicizes and gives these Black students the agency that they deserve.
And what does commemoration look like to you at UF? What do you think UF should do to commemorate Black Thursday?
Well, obviously with COVID, the whole game has changed. So I think obviously with our event, we'll invite, the particular individuals, the higher ups, whatever. But I think for us, it's a bottom up. Who are those students? Who are those faculty? What is that story? Let's, as a historian, maybe we can get some photos of stuff where people can visually. So it's not just a top-down lecture. It's pretty much, people can see photos and really recreate that space as best they can orally or through the pictures, you see. So I'm thinking, some sort of hour event, hour and a half, where we have participants, we have some music maybe. So it's still in the beginning phase, but it's not going to be sanitized. It's not going to be one where, it's history. It's not kind. This is what President OConnell did. Here's the record. I don't know what to tell you, so you don't have to apologize for that. And this is where we are in 2021. Look at the numbers. History is not kind. That's what it is. Let's move forward. So that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that's what's going to be. So understand the past, but then how much work we need to do. So it's not going to be one of those how we do Dr. King, the sanitized. This was 50 years ago. Oh, I can drink water fountain. I can go here and all this stuff. Okay. However, when I look at the data, I still see some issues. And that's how I do these type of things, where it's rooted like that, not in this nostalgic American liberalism, progression, exceptionalism. Wow, look at us. You can't do this in China. No, we got a lot more work to do. And that's no reason why that can't be part of the discussion. It doesn't have to always be untense or some. That's what I mean. It's history. Here, I mean, what? I don't know what to tell you. That's why I teach I don't know what to tell you. Here's the document. This is what's being said. I'm not making this up, so you can get mad how you want, but that's what it is. And I'm not going to hide that document so you can feel good about yourself. So that's why I think we're doing an approach where it's us, NAACP, BSU, bottom up, where pretty much you're going to get, what we do in African studies from that perspective, rather than was the past, look how far, all those stories. Oh, hey, we got a black quarterback, and okay. However, black enrollment's been down. We see that, those are real numbers. So let's use that as a springboard to say, okay, 50 years from now, we want to say X. We've answered the call. When we commemorate in 2071, we're not saying the same thing. Wow, 50 years later, we still have these structural problems.
And what are some of those problems and things that you think we can improve on? I know you just said Black enrollment is down. I actually didn't know that. If you want to talk more about it.
Well, what I've known in my 6 months, that's a significant issue. I mean, I heard we had 3,000 or whatever, but I think once they started chasing U.S. News World Report, let's just be honest, that's a class-based game, right? So you're chasing higher income students who have resources. It's whether black or white. You're chasing the top 10% of income earners, those students, which means what? That really increases your selectivity, you see? So we know once you start chasing that, that's what happens on that end. Second part is that there's different racial incidents over the last, I'm guessing, decade. I heard about the noose thing, the guy grabbing the people, graduation. I thought it was one person. I heard it's 21 people. Who does that? Okay, the first one. After that, you got to say, you can't do that. You're lucky someone doesn't come up here and, but I'm just saying. So those are the things that feed the air. Also with black faculty, I think also just whatever our reputation is, in spite of the data, I just think how we view Gainesville, I just think we don't get the same respect as Michigan, like that's some urban capital, Ann Arbor, or UVA, Charlottesville. So there's a lot of reputable, that's our structures, a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of changing the culture. I don't care how much I say it, it's going to take a massive university community, not just Black studies. I can't carry all that, but we need a whole institutional commitment to change that. And that's why we have the commemoration and look at systems. We're not just, we know how this works. We know that. We know it's a system, it's a culture, and we're working to fight that. We're working to change that. And I think we can do it because we know diversity. I mean, we know it works financially. We know it works statistically. There's no doubt about it. And I know we're public university, I know all that stuff, but if you look what happened in Georgia, as well as you learn to resist, we all know the next 10 to 15 years, no matter all the voters, all the games and tricks, just based on birth rates, we know which way the state is going. So we can be reactive or have it set up and be proactive. So when they get here, they're not saying the same thing. Where are the courses? We're doing the same thing again. Then they'll say, well, look, we have more Black minority majority, but if the mindset is the same, it doesn't matter. You still support these inequities. I don't care what color you are. So let's go ahead and start moving these changes and don't be reactionary. Oh, now we need more Black teachers because no, let's start today. Because as I do, this country, it came faster than people predicted. I think when they said those numbers when I was in grad school, oh, it's not true. Oh, you watch TV, it's all white. It's coming, it's real. I think Obama kind of set it off in 2008. Georgia just took it to a state now that's blue, and we saw what happened. Folks, you saw that passing all these suppression laws, and they're not wasting, and they're going to pass because that's a red state. You got to be extra extra in 2022 is because Warnock and Abrams is up in 2022.
Yeah.
It's going to be hot. I'm going to have to go up there and volunteer a couple hours. It's going to be hot, you know, but it's excitement. So I think that's what I'm excited about, but I want to be proactive because you thought they wouldn't win in Georgia. This is going to happen here. It's going to eventually, we want to be ready, not reaction. You know, oh, wow, look, we got all these students. I told you that 10 years ago. So I want to use that commemoration, how it should be celebrated, but not just in the past for past sake, but how that message still resonates 50 years later. You can do two things at once. Yes, there's a department, but also we got a ways to go. Of course, it's not like, then they like to do this. Well, it's not, I know it's not like, because that's history. I understand that. However, we got a ways to go. So I always anticipate those arguments because I've heard them all. Well, it's not like you can do this now. That's a given. Tell me something I don't know. Let's address the structure. Then they get quiet. So
yeah, it's interesting that you talk about the pursuing a top 10, or I think top 5 now, universities.
Yep.
Or yeah, because when it was President O'Connell's time, his thing was, well, we have to be, he always said, the first in the South and the second in the nation. And to him, pursuing that was greater than pursuing Black enrollment. So I think it's interesting how history works in cycles. And here we are again, 50 years later.
Interesting point. Yeah, okay.
So that's an interesting thing I learned from my research. But in terms of commemoration, do you think UF should only be doing commemoration every anniversary, or do you think there should be an established Black Thursday thing here?
I think IBC, they do something every year. You know, I think we can, as a program, put something in here where, you know, you can make it, and you could look, that's the power of age. You can do whatever you want to do, like Kwanzaa, Malcolm X, Juneteenth. Now all of a sudden, there's been folks doing Juneteenth for years, but now all of a sudden, so we have the power to decide how you want to have commemoration. You don't have to wait for Tiger. AfricanAmerican Studies can make it, but then you get into, you know, we can do it. We can make that an annual type of thing. You know what I mean? So it really decides on how to program my colleagues. But I know IBC does something every year. So it's probably stuff being done. We can coordinate. So cultures can decide how they want to celebrate their past. You don't need a federal legislation. You can decide that. So I think that's how I look at it that way. We can decide. We can make another day, maybe for what's his name, Hawkins, or the judge that just passed. So we have that power. We don't have to wait for Tiger or Tallahassee or some tragedy. And that's the power of agency that we have.
Do you think UF should get involved in terms of putting maybe a plaque outside Tiger, or really taking down the name of the OConnell Center, as many students want?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know at Ohio State, those names are put on the Black Cultural Center. The students that were suspended or kicked out, you know, they're on. So that's a suggestion. They're on the plaque on the Black Studies at Ohio State. You know, I think change the name of the university. That's a very, you know, a lot of people saying that we're in that culture now with name change and we see a lot of universities in that. I mean, obviously, that's a real good question. That's a real good one. I guess students do want it. So they want to take O'Connell. He's the gym, right? O'Connell is
the basketball. Yes.
Got you. Well, history's not kind. It's history. You know, there's two ways. I got a colleague at Howard University that says, you know what? Leaving stuff alone shows you where the culture was. When you start pulling this stuff down, so I can be a kid that can grow up, would never know we honored Robert E. Lee. So now we pull that out. Wow, there must be no racism. So maybe it shows the depth of power of monuments, right? These folks committed treason, but I'm so committed to it, I'm gonna put a statue. So as a kid, I see that. Now that they're gone, and maybe I see all these progressive people, we're progressive. No, they ain't no healthcare. You know, so it's one of those type of things where I guess I'm trying to be PC. It's one of those things, okay, maybe not common, maybe some other building. We know buildings based on money, not based on justice. So that's where these markers come up. So maybe that's a way where, you know, I get the anti-building stuff, to left the Confederates and stuff, but we look at some people from a systemic, that's great and all, but the system's still a change. You know, so that's why these plaques are important. So I get it. I get it. O'Connell's not the most liked individual on campus, right? But he's like one of many Southern SEC presidents who are committed
Yes.
to it's a public university.
Mhm.
If they say X and I want to check in the job, what do
Yeah.
you like? I like it too. All of a sudden, the Lord hit with a bolt of lightning. You like, I like that too. That's
Mhm.
politics. I'm responding to what I think my constituency. And if
Mhm.
I did an exit poll out of 10, 80%, one don't smoke, the 8 carry it, we support this system.
Mhm.
Just like in Brown versus Board of Ed, Southerners were moderate racist Democrats who supported all those policies. But once Brown passed, the parents went nuts. I'm going nuts with them. Get them out of here. They just shifted to the right because
Yeah.
they responded to the voters. It's not rocket science,
Mhm.
right? We're a public university. They respond to the voters. This is why education is key. If you want these type of, you gotta get community involved, you gotta get these different constituencies putting pressure, and that's what your day is all about, putting pressure. But the problem is, I think, with ISO, so you got 8 students, you got this, there's not a pressure. You got to put pressure to change these type of systems, and that's what Black students, they put pressure on O'Connell. It's not
Mhm.
personal, but that pressure, I got to do something because I don't know his intent. I don't know him personally. I don't know his family is. All I know is he represents an institution that's public, it's represented by X, and the pressure, and that's how I try to teach stuff. So I just think and I'm kind of torn. I'll be honest with you. My colleague is like, I agree. I think leaving them up shows the power of history.
Mhm.
Taking them down, replace them can also show another mythology. So we go from one extreme to the other. Wow, everybody's positive. This is great.
Mhm.
And I realized, one time we did America? No, never. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. I don't see the statue.
Mhm.
You can create a whole type of another false narrative based on we've always been progressive. You see
Mhm.
what I mean? So it's good. We'll see the next 10 to 15 years, but we just don't. History is just a discipline. In your historian, we just don't want to engage it.
Mhm.
I don't know why. I know why. We just don't engage it critically. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely putting an event together, and once we get together, definitely come on through. And it's definitely going to be a bottom up type of approach. We might even have top folks on there, may not, but it's going to be from this perspective, and that's what Black Studies is about.
Mhm.
And we're going to be critical and talk about institutions. It's not going to be as we think commemoration should be. Oh, in this day and this and that, and we couldn't drink water and this. I get that, but we're going to bring it home. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mhm. Do you know about some of the initiatives that President Fox had sent out this? I don't know if you saw this past summer. It was like an anti-racist, and then all of these committees. One of them is a renaming committee. My
Yep.
mentor for this project is on it. He said they only met once and they never did anything again. So, do you have anything to say about those
Yes.
projects?
So I'm on the task force, this history of Native Americans, African American history. Again, because I'm new to UF, I said, okay, I'll do it. My best strength is contextualizing because I'm still learning the bottom up stuff. I'm handling like 1985 to the present because what I'm going to do is look at newspaper articles or how students respond to Rodney King, whatever national event or local event. So there's been the grants. There's been the president's task force. I think COVID just not excuse, but COVID. This is reality, right? COVID just makes it difficult because you get sick of Zoom. You're sick of it, So it's really hard to perform high level. So the intent is there. I think the rollouts next year, once this thing settles down and people can show stuff, not just online and websites, but have concrete events. No one's going to websites. You know that. Oh, I'm going to go to websites. No, we're not doing that. But if I announce an event at IBC or Turlington related to the grants and people can engage again, so I'm hoping next year we can show the fruits of the labor. But right now with COVID, we get what we can. We could do better. I just think the politics of naming is deep. I think it's a political, economic. I think I read some university they were going to withhold money because of a song. They're going to was it one of these southern? Oh my God,
See, maybe.
what school was it? Was it Alabama? One of these big schools that donors are going to withhold money. They got rid of some song, and they said
I
no,
know Dixie's a popular one. I don't know if that was at Alabama, but
not the school, but that's the point. So naming is political. It's a very political. So by not engaging, maybe people will forget. But usually what happens when some event gets fired up, it triggers, you know how that goes. So, or some university does something in your SEC, it triggers. Well, if they can do it in Tennessee, we can do it here. So that's an ongoing issue. I would just hope that, while we're engaged in that, be engaged in the classroom, get involved in organizations, let's read some books, let's get engaged, let's get nuanced about inequity.
Mm-hmm.
Naming is weird, but let's get nuanced about systems. Let's put half the energy also in reading groups and study groups and the same type of thing. It's not an all one bag, you don't come out here and support. No, how about we all find our lane and learn from each other? I mean, that's what SNCC did. You can do three things at once. I think oftentimes everything gets rooted in that one thing. Okay, change the name, but then we still have lack of Black student enrollment. We still are still doing this, still doing that. So we got to be more the one trick pony activists or woke people. Just so fixate on one thing, then okay. But there's two things at once. We can chew and eat gum chew and walk at the same time. So that's what's happening. So I figure that committee is probably because it's very political. Don't say much about it. COVID, no one's outside. So maybe next year, once this thing gets back to normal, but there'll be these other grants that I'm associated with. So I anticipate stuff rolling out definitely by spring 22, because even the fall is still, nobody knows. I think COVID, not as an excuse, but it's just a reality. COVID now provides cover, let's just be honest, right? Man, it's good, right? And let's be honest, right? But at the same time, once this thing starts rolling, that energy, you just got to be ready.
Yeah. And so could you talk a little bit about what is planned for the 50th anniversary this spring?
Well, right now, I just reached out to Sisters, Black Student Union, who else? NAACP, Samuel Proctor, so I'm thinking, obviously, I met the woman who wrote the book. I always forget her name, Dr.
Stuart Fullwood.
She does a great presentation. She has that thing down. And then there's a professor, Dr. Ortiz, who left the job.
He runs the oral history program.
What's his name?
Dr. Ortiz.
No, he recommended a professor one that left. I forgot his name after Black Student Union. So what I'm thinking, I saw Dr. What's her name again? I'm sorry, Betty.
Stuart Fullwood.
Right. I saw a presentation. It was great. We cut it down some. But I don't know if you attended Dr. Patricia Hilliard Nunn's memorial, but something where there's like music, some photos, not just talking, hopefully we can get all the students. I got to start moving now. The students that were expelled, and they can, join the conversation, you know what I mean? And I hope we'll get into, I'll get my degree, but just, bring them in, give them a voice. So that's where I'm at right now. It's really early planning stages and it's around the corner, but that's what I'm thinking. So I just don't want to be talking with just those two, but how do we get the students engaged and get the publicity out? So you'll be seeing it soon, hopefully. That's what I'm just thinking out loud. Some student singers, hour and a half maybe, but not massive lecturing. She does a great piece. I mean, she did about 30 minutes with the Jacksonville alumni. I saw she had the photos and everything. She got down to a science. I mean, she can carry the whole thing, but knowing Zoom culture, there's other people involved. You want to make sure that you know how this goes, right? That it's representative of the diverse. There might be somebody straight pissed off. They should have a space to just, I don't want to say you got to do that cussing, but let that stuff off. Let it go. History is not kind. It's history. I can't change OConnell. He's not around, but we can listen and figure out a way to avoid that. So that's what I'm thinking. We're at level 1 right now, but, reaching out to the students, and we want to bottom up, not sanitize. If someone wants to be mad and talk, let them talk, not just bring, well, now we can drink water and this is great. I get all that, but we still have some work to do. We still have to engage these structures of inequity.
I'm working with the oral history program about bringing Dr. Stewart and hopefully Joseph McLeod. I don't know if you know about him, but Joseph McLeod, I think, is still in the Gainesville area if you want to contact him as well.
Is this for Black Thursday too?
Yes, he was. I think he called himself the Minister of Defense in his oral history interview because he was one of the planners of Black Thursday. But hopefully we're going to have them for a panel, I think is what.
You got a day plan for y'all event already?
Yeah, I think
we're going to do it we haven't, but we're looking to right on the 15th. I know it's near the end of classes, but it is what it is. But what about you guys? What y'all planning?
I believe they're planning that for April 13th, for a couple of days before. So it'd be like a panel to introduce it, and then yeah.
Gotcha.
I
I think that's overkill 2 in 1. This well, because I'm doing especially on the day, so I'll just at this point because the calendar's end of the semester, really nothing we can do. So no matter what, I'm doing the 15th, the actual day. Because of COVID, I'm not gonna do a walk. I'm not gonna do. I wish it would be great, but I'm just not messing with the COVID stuff. There's a conversation we might have. I know young people, they might want to do a commemoration walk. I'm not opposed to it, but at the same time, COVID is real. I want to be a COVID super spreader, some nonsense. That wouldn't be a good look just for my ego, So, but I like it. So y'all on 13th. So,
yes.
McLeod, speaking of yours, so what I would do, I want him double dipping. Since he's done yours, we could split the weight. You know what I mean? So it's not. So if you want, I'd like to have Betty. You did Betty's Dr. Stewart for yours.
That's what Professor Simeon had spoke to me and someone else from. His name is Adolfo Romero. If you want to talk to him, he's from the oral history program.
Okay.
That's the plan for our event now. But if you're looking to do something like that, I'm sure he'd love to collaborate with you.
Okay.
I can Adolfo Romero. I can send you his email.
Please do. Yeah, please do. So I'm just thinking, right, a pass. So y'all doing a Zoom panel?
I think, yes, I believe that's the plan.
Okay. All right. We might do something where, yeah, please send me that person. I'm going to start getting these rolling. But I do like her presentation. Again, as historians, she got she cut out and she has everything, and she puts it right up on the PowerPoint. So I like her presentation. Is nice, concise, very vivid. She remembers stuff, you know what I mean? So she's perfect. Okay. Appreciate that connect.
Yes. And I also sent Professor Simeon a bunch of scans just of historical records of like the original list that they gave OConnell on Black Thursday. Would you like those as well?
Please do. Yeah, we can make that part of our slide view, whatever you want to call it. Put some music behind it. I got upstairs already on board the communications people. So that's what I'm talking about. We can show pictures, play some music. So it's not just talking and get a wide range. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. No problem. And then I think my last question was just how do you think, if at all, UF should go on to educate their university and the students about Black Thursday to make sure it's not forgotten?
Well, obviously, that's, again, a massive university job. Obviously, we know what ends up happening. If you're a STEM person, right, we believe 1 or 2 quest courses and you get it. That's where AfricanAmerican Studies come in. I think so we're going to do our part in terms of our intro courses, or in terms of we hope that our colleagues in other courses will obviously do history course. You got to introduce that. So I just think the challenge, you have local history versus national. This is where I think our brains are just programmed. I think we watch TV, and the TV supports the master narrative. So you're going to know about Fred Hampton. You're going to know about Harvard and Cornell. Just the way I think our minds are programmed. Coming through the K through 12, we do focus more on national. So hopefully with the work with the local school district, AfricanAmerican Studies, that and the role we're going to play is incorporating more local history. I think we have to get to a point where history is a set of skills. So just because you don't know who's born on what's not these facts, reading, writing, critical thinking. So if you're a citizen, I know Black Thursday, I never heard of Yale, doesn't mean you're less intelligent. It's just that it's right here in front of you. So we have to get that across to students, that the master narrative is one aspect, but it's strong local histories that are just as maybe more germane to what you're doing than some dude in the Bronx. You never left Alachua County. So I think that's part of what we're going to hopefully do, working with teachers. And that's a great job that y'all do, again, focus on that local history. And as a new part, I'm trying to, when I get my courses rolling, do a better part, but also offer those courses where students can take Blacks in Florida. Growing up in Connecticut, there's not a course, Blacks in Connecticut. New York State, not really. In the South, there's history of Georgia. The Northeast is not really that germane, but here, the work that Cecilia Nunn with the Newberry 16, there's other stuff. So it's right here. So I definitely will make that part of, and my new colleagues, as best we can, incorporate your local history or use the work that you do, so people don't have to, feel some type of way that I have to do it. Everyone can't be an expert in everything, so I'm looking forward to, and I appreciate the work that you do. I want to use those archives, and just haven't been around to it yet, but definitely that's what we would do here, and make sure that we do more of it. Hopefully more students will take these courses, and that's how it's up to us. And this is where I'm on. If you want to, Dr. King's holiday was really started by SCLC right after he died, 68. So we make this a holiday, but it was until 87. So it's what our agency decides your heroes, your holidays, and your commemorations. It's never top down. They're not knocking on your door. You want a King holiday? Now, King was a troublemaker. I don't want no damn holiday, right? Mm-hmm. When that pressure came, they had to cave in. So if we want to recognize Black, if I'm waiting for Tiger, it ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. Brother's not going to call me. It's not personal, but Dave, I'm trying to raise $1 million. That's just not going to help me right now. So I understand that clearly as a historian. So it's up to us to make that call, and we're willing to put that work in. And then I don't get upset. I get it, how our culture works. I'm going to stop at this point. I was watching, as you grow up in this country, if you say, well, I don't know the New York Times, I never heard of it, but I read Black newspapers, you can't get the job. Mm-hmm. So there'll be some population that's called just Black Thursday, just another day, whether it's international or other things. So I don't get all bent out of shape. All I do is do what we can do, whether it's the monument thing and out there, or if you want to put it in these classes, remind folks when it's Black History Month, maybe do more localized Black History Month events. That's a good idea, whether it's always Carnegie Woodson, but let's focus more on Black History Month all the time. So I will definitely make that part of our curriculum. How can we increase our local history, take students on field trips, do stuff like that? That's great, and y'all definitely lay the foundation. So not like I'm starting from ground zero. They'll have a plethora of sources that are right there that we plan to take advantage of. And who knows, maybe I'll have my third book will be something local. Maybe y'all gonna convert me to Florida history. You know what I mean? Yeah. Y'all gonna convert me. I don't need to go to DC no more. I'm going to Florida. It's warm December, January. There's no snow days. I get my book done in a week. Y'all working on me. You're working on me. Keep working on me.
Yeah. Well, that was all of my questions. But did you have any last comments you wanted to say? Any questions?
Keep doing what you're doing. Send me those contacts, and let's coordinate. So we're not duplicating what we do. And I feel that should be a good week of events for the commemoration.
Okay, perfect. I know that Professor Simeon and Adolfo wants to meet again on Tuesday at 9 a.m. I don't know if you're available for that time.
At 9. Let's take 9th.
Yes, but that might help maybe with the.
I have a peer review at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, just tell them, just loop me in. I think, like I said, I know they have stuff going on. I think right now, I'm still waiting for students to get back to me, but I think, they can loop me in what's going on. Again, we just don't want to, so in terms of the guests, we make sure we can spread them out like that. But just tell them, loop me in the emails, and we'll eventually meet. And I'll reach out to Adolfo today to give me some names of folks who will be some good candidates. I love those pictures, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll put an email with all three of us in and send you those pictures.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right.